I'll do this video on innovators. What are innovators? And innovators make up 2.5% of the population according to the distribution of the law of distribution of innovation, right? And basically anyone could be an innovator. Your janitor could be an innovator, innovating a new way. I'm always innovating better ways to doing things, right? That's what innovators do. We see things and we're like, you know what? Like, it's funny, I was walking home today and I saw something. And I was like, I wonder if I could innovate a new design for a beehive. The beehive hasn't changed in 100 years. Why do we think this beehive is the right way? Just because it was the way we've always done it? Probably not. I don't think we spend a lot of time looking at bees and their flight and what they like and everything else. And if we put the same amount of money into a fucking sports car, right, as we did into beehives, we would have super hives right now. I plan to do that. So, because I believe bees are important, and I think we can improve on the current design that's 100 years old. It's normal, right? A box with a hole in it, you know, I think we can do better with air circulation and size and getting the honey out. Why do we use this way? Is there a better way? I mean, all this stuff is old. So innovators are always thinking, and I would argue because of this law, only 2.5% of entrepreneurs are actually innovators. Unless you want to argue that innovators become entrepreneurs, so the number the entrepreneurs represent, you know, we'd have to do some science. I don't think so, because an entrepreneur could be bringing about, most entrepreneurs are bringing about an idea that is maybe innovative in a way or a better way, but it isn't transformative, because transformative innovation is innovation that changes paradigms. Okay, the web was transformative, right? The computer, transformative. These are transformative innovation. The PC, the software from Gates, transformative. You know, the iPhone, very transformative. iTunes, not really transformative, only because Napster was there before them, and all Jobs did was he took Napster and he, you know, put his weight behind it. I don't really think Facebook is transformative, only because MySpace was there too, and you know, ultimately they did a better job pivoting and focusing and creating a product, which is so-so. I think the product could be a lot better. You know, Google Plus really isn't transformative, only because Facebook is already there. So what they're doing is they're coming in. For example, Facebook is at I would say the early majority stage. So Google decided to come in and, you know, and take a stab at them. So they're innovating on the early majority. They're bringing in some innovation, trying to do the same thing better. Ultimately, you know, we'll see who ends up winning out. So innovators are very important, because see, innovators act, innovators do. You know, researchers think about things and write papers and white papers and maybe do talks and go to conferences and all this other crap. You know, politicians spend their time arguing and debating and trying to raise money to get them in turn for another 5 years. Innovators are inventors. We see a problem, we bring about a solution. It's that simple. If we're going to be headed into a time of crisis, who do you want? Do you want an innovator to lead things? Or do you want a researcher or a politician? You definitely want an innovator. And remember, we innovators only make up 2.5% of the population. And us transformative innovators, I count myself as one of them, are the innovators that can see new paradigms, that can see new systems, frameworks of operandi. And ultimately, I've spent the last 12 years working on 2 systems. The last system I've spent the last 2 years. I'm getting a little bit more efficient. The other system, I basically had the idea in 2001, played around with it until 2004, came to Japan, decided to do it, And you know, and basically from 2004 went at it pretty much full time till 2009, when one of my technologies was validated. That's my Eric Ries term for stolen. Since Eric Ries likes to say lessons learned for failure, I say validated for stolen. It was validated by no other than Google, YouTube. And to be honest, I won't lie to you, I wasn't thinking of the problem at the time. I was actually motivated by anger. And the simple fact that I looked up to Google, and I would never have thought that they would basically be evil. And to me, stomping on the little entrepreneur who has nothing and bringing innovation to them and just robbing their innovation is evil, okay? You know, when you pay $50 million for Aardvark, which is a piece of shit piece of software, right? God knows, I've deleted it from my thing. I don't know how many people use Aardvark, but Aardvark. And then you've had these other failures like Buzz and Wave, and I could actually improve on Wave. I could fix Wave, but you know, that's another time. Then ultimately, you know, stepping on the little guy's evil, and they shattered my trust in them, and I wanted to basically disrupt the startup. And I started off basically a year. 2010, halfway through 2011 is, you know, well, 2010 I was like goody good, trying to get other startups and just being ignored. So then I pivoted. First they ignore you, then I fight them. So then since they ignored me, I just decided to take the fight to them, then they fight them, okay? Which their response was to laugh at me. And now we'll see who's going to succeed or not. I don't like to say win, I like to say succeed. Then you succeed. And that's from Gandhi. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you. No, then they argue with you, then they laugh at you. Or first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they argue with you, then you win. Or I'd like to say that you succeed. So innovators are paramount to setting them free to bring their innovations about. And my, again, I'm not a researcher, I'm an innovator. My gut feeling, if researchers could help, you know, want to do the due diligence, but less than 0.1% of innovators are capable of launching their ideas in this current paradigm, this current startup paradigm, the closed startup paradigm, 0.1%. And what we need is 10% of those innovations launching. And if you know anything, if you're in this area, if you know the term SOCAP, social capital innovation, right? They're having the worst time ever finding capital for their innovation. The bottom line is, there's only a specific few who invest. They've been hit hard because of the economic crisis. They've lost tens of millions of dollars. The VC market is collapsing, according to Adeo and a lot of other folks. And Adeo is the head of the Funded and the Founders Institute. And ultimately, there's a shitstorm coming. And this is just kind of like, these are aches and pains of a massive coming problem. Aches and pains. Occupy Wall Street, ache and pain. Occupy Wall Street had a massive win that no one has caught on to except for me. Massive win. And that massive win was HR 2930. The Entrepreneur Access to Capital Act that the Senate is trying to squish. And no one's listening to these talks, right? So the Senate is going to squish the most important piece of legislation in 100 years to come out of the House because they're going to listen to the wrong people. They're going to listen to the private equity folks, the Wall Street folks, who are going to say this is going to hurt us more than help us. And they're going to water down this bill instead of completely opening it up. They're going to try to hold on to the little bit that they have instead of making a bit of a sacrifice to ensuring the future of America and ensuring the future of humanity. because this bill would unlock $144 billion worth of micro seed investments that are currently tied up by the SEC that cannot be freely moved about in the market because of silly legislation from the 1933, right? 75-year-old legislation, or older now, you know, the 80-year-old legislation. So ultimately, what the hell? That was kind of a hard stop. What is going on here? Yeah, it was probably the closest call to me driving and videotaping. I don't think I was watching the thing either. It's just they came up really fast. Guess that light. It's excitement. The whole point of watching my talks is you never know which one I'm going to crash and burn in. And you, well, not like maybe they'll get it and they'll put it up at a later date or they'll use it as evidence. Listen, Michael was videotaping a video. He was doing an illegal thing. So, innovators. I'm an innovator. God bless the innovators in the world. We struggle. In my, you know, the greatest innovator of all time, let me tell you some innovator stories. So, let me tell you some innovator stories you know and then some you don't know. Google. Maybe you know Google? Heard of Google? So these were two Stanford grads, and they got a referral to meet with a Silicon Valley, you know, person. And ultimately, it was a guy from Sun. And the guy was like, you know what? I don't have any idea what you're going to do with this algorithm or what you're going to do with it, but you know what? Here's a $100,000 check. Leap of faith. You see, innovators, we create new paradigms. The search paradigm by Google is they created, and they offered it to Yahoo for $1 million. Like, here, you can buy it. We'll give it to you for $1 million, this algorithm. But the thing is, you have to understand, where was Yahoo at that time? Yahoo was an early majority, in the early majority paradigm stage, right? And you now think of customer acquisition, it's the paradigm, early majority. They controlled the market. They thought they knew everything. They thought there was nothing to do.